Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of Frail Conversations. Um, Today is going to be a little bit deeper than usual, and by deeper I really mean that shit this time deeper. Like I'm going to be talking about the mind and the three pillars of the mind. Um, the reason why I feel like this is important is because let's technically going to start off like real deep. I want to get that shit out of the way and then kind of move into the more mellowed out part. Because I feel like this is important in regards to, masculinity and just the whole concept. So, um, when it comes to our mind, being programmed, being controlled, being manipulated, uh, it's very very important that we understand how by understanding the 3 points of the mind. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like this is a topic that in So Frail 2, I kind of covered in when I talked about conscious imprints, and this is kind of how we develop things, through our mantras of suppression, which was in So Frail 1, through just everything, you know. And the most important piece is because if the mind isn't understood, the words have, far more power than we really think they have. The words that we speak, the words that, are spoken over us. Um, just the collective of it all. And I think it's very important that, you know, um, in regards to our masculinity, just, in regards to, real world shit anyway, we understand our mind, but specifically in regards to masculinity, because from birth up until, the current age we are now, whatever we are, every day our mind is being affected. Logically, makes sense. But the most pivotal point occurs during our birth stage. From birth to the most foundational pieces of life occur between birth and like 6 years old or some shit like that. And if your mind has been programmed at that point, um, I ain't gonna say it's pretty much nothing you can do, but you can always go back and rewrite the shit by uncovering certain things, breaking certain cycles and different things like that. But um, going forward, this helps with uh, with the generations going forward, because at this point, that's if it hasn't been known, that's the theme of what So Frail is. I understand that our elders, they can't be changed. There's nothing that can be really really done with them. Even some of our peers, there's not really much transformation that can occur. But excuse me, for me, as the great Whitney Houston always said, I believe the children are the future. So it's like, whether we're able to change ourselves or not, whether we're able to make that move for ourselves, we can be armed with the necessary skills that going forward, we can say, okay, bam, let me be cognizant of what I'm doing. Let me be cognizant of what I'm saying, because this is how I know that it can affect this child. This is how I know it can affect this son, and ultimately, you know, propel him in a better direction. I'm not necessarily going to say right, because people ultimately have their ultimate choices, and we don't control the outcome of another man's or another woman's life. But we can provide, a necessary resource that can help give them a better option based off of how the mind is perceived. You feel what I'm saying? So with that being said, I'll be covering, like I said, the three pillars of the mind, which is the conscious mind, subconscious mind, and unconscious mind. And it's going to start off very deep, and then I'm going to segue into it once the deep shit is done. You feel me? But I just want to give that disclaimer, because you're probably going to have to listen to this more than once, or, you're probably going to have to pace yourself with it. And I just want to give that heads up. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be deep. I'm not trying to be, all that other shit, but that is, that has to be explained. So with that being said, I'm going to take a quick break, let you adjust, let you, prepare yourself for what's about to come. It's not going to be nothing like crazy, but I'm just going to get you to prepare yourself for the time. So that being said, be sure to follow me at on Instagram _just_scene_. Be sure to follow the merchandise page at Just Scenes Merch. If you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, be sure to follow the Hitting It Raw program, and also get the Hitting It Raw ebook wherever ebooks are sold. Also, as always, be sure to get the book So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity, if you do not have your copies already. Like I said, going forward, there's going to be more and more topics that are going to be derived from that book in some way, shape, or form. whether it be a full chapter or passage or whatever the case may be. So yeah. And lastly, lastly, feel free to support the channel. The podcast. I don't know why I keep saying channel. I'm used to transitioning from YouTube. But anyway, feel free to support the channel. Fuck it. Feel free to support the channel, and all of the links to everything that I just mentioned will be in the description of your podcast. So yeah, you can always click those just to save time. So as I said, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back to discuss the 3 pillars of the mind. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, so welcome back, and let's dive straight into it. When it comes to the 3 pillars of the mind, as I said, we have the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and the unconscious mind. And when it comes to the levels of the mind, a lot of people only look at or consider the conscious and the subconscious minds. You feel what I'm saying? And when it comes to the unconscious mind, people have a different viewpoint of it, because people think like if you're knocked unconscious, you are completely unaware or you're just oblivious to the shit. But I view it differently. That's why I'm using conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind is actually not a state of unawareness, but it's a state of automatic and autonomous awareness. You feel what I'm saying? When your unconscious mind kicks in, that is at the essence and the core of who you really are. That is your natural expression to shit. When emotions overwhelm you, when thoughts overwhelm you, and you still have to continue to act, the unconscious mind is who holds that. It's who holds that power. Our conscious mind can be dictated. Our subconscious mind can be dictated. But our unconscious mind is always going to act on what has been programmed from continual repetition, the cycles, or whatever it is that, that we continually pass down, traditions, all of that shit. That shit programs within the unconscious mind. And when it hits the unconscious mind, no matter what you do, if that's where you put your I guess your expressive self, that's who's going to manifest itself. But the thing about the mind is that it can be programmed. It's a computer, so the mind, all facets of the mind can be programmed. You feel what I'm saying? So, when it comes to the levels of the mind, I begin with the conscious mind, because that is the mind, the point of the mind that everybody's most familiar with. That is the point that, the conscious mind is the point that we have control over. We have the most control over. We have control over all 3 points of the mind. Contrary to what people believe, like, oh, your subconscious mind kicked in, so you just did this, whatever the case may be. In order for the subconscious mind, in order for the unconscious mind to even act, something has to be there. You have to put something there. The conscious mind is the state of mind that we're in on a regular basis. That is our active mind. That is our waking state. That is the state that we're continually in and day out. The conscious mind is the most dangerous part of the mind in some regards, because it changes it can change so sporadically. You feel what I'm saying? It can change so sporadically. Like, you can get a bit of information, or you can get a moment. You can be proven wrong in a moment, and it can change an entire thought process. You feel what I'm saying? But the conscious mind is, although it is the weakest, the most dangerous, it can be the most dangerous. It is also the weakest form of the tiers of the 3 pillars. You feel what I'm saying? Because the conscious mind can be changed so easily. You feel what I'm saying? You can you can you can be reading something that can completely in one sentence change your entire reality. You feel me? Because it causes your conscious mind to think about something else, which then sends it this way, sends it that way. You feel what I'm saying? So our conscious mind is most predicated upon and dictated by our thoughts. You feel what I'm saying? And I get that it's like, well, the whole mind governs the thoughts. And as I go forward, I'm going to explain um, what I mean by that. So the conscious mind is, no, I'm going to change that just slightly. The conscious mind is predicated upon our memories. And in it being predicated upon our memories, what everything has to be a database. Everything that the conscious mind controls or conscious mind regulates is about a database. What we know, what we've learned, what we've obtained, the different thoughts like that, and the conscious mind fuels that whole directive state. You feel what I'm saying? And like I said, in so far too, I go over and I break down this entire example of the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious minds, but in a lot more detail. So I'm pretty much going to go over it, here. But I want, because I got to get to the main point of what I was actually supposed to be talking about with the 3 pillars of the mind. So when a conscious mind, kind of takes over, it's based off memory. It's based off memory. It's based off recollection. It's based off the database of the things that we have. So it's when things don't necessarily correlate with what our memories show, with what we learn, then it can make our conscious mind react a certain way. So all forms of the mind lead to action. You feel what I'm saying? So as I discussed in Frail, the soul is the willpower, the mind is the thought, collectively it's the thought, and then the body is the action, the physical is the action. But thought has to precede action. You feel me? As they say, I think, therefore I am. Even if you go from a biblical standpoint, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's because that is reminiscent of an illusion, and it's also an allusion to, thought preceding action. You feel what I'm saying? So when we come to this collective realm of thought, you now have to look at, how these actions play out. You feel what I'm saying? So the conscious mind, those actions are played out from stimuli. You feel what I'm saying? The conscious mind is based off of stimuli, and when those thoughts are stimulated, you act accordingly. This is where it gets tricky, because a lot of times within the conscious mind, and this is why I say it's kind of related to memories too, because it's also in essence tied to feelings, because our conscious mind is changed, our conscious mind is altered, our conscious mind is manipulated by the daily interactions of the things that make us both feel and impulsively think in the moment. So many people, it's in one of the most quintessential pieces is when we consider people making permanent decisions off of temporary feelings. That phrase is pretty much about the conscious mind. That in that moment, you don't really react, you don't really think heavily, and you just kind of act. And in that action, what you're doing is you're pretty much creating a new reality for yourself that you never really had time to think about. You feel what I'm saying? So in that moment, that's why I'm saying it's feeling there. This is why people can get pregnant and have babies, from a one night stand and shit. And it's just like, yo, it was a mistake. I didn't mean to do. Like, your conscious mind was manipulated and changed. Seduction is real. Seduction is real. Now, I'm not saying that that you get a pass because you may have cheated on your significant other, or you did some sucker shit and had a one night stand, and what I mean. Now it was an accident. Nah, it wasn't an accident. It was an accident. It was gonna happen. Your conscious mind, the thoughts that filled your conscious mind in that moment dictated your action. And all of the thoughts said, fuck that person. All of your thoughts said, go through with this temporary action, because even though it's temporary, I don't care. I'm going to act on this and I'm going to do it. That's what your conscious mind was. So it's like, we got to be very, very, our conscious mind is pretty much the mask. It's the face, it's the shell, it's the part of us that we constantly have to keep in our minds and have to keep up. You feel what I'm saying? The conscious mind is the conscious mind controls our work voice. You feel me? You know what the motherfucking work voice is. That code switching shit, that's where our conscious mind is. We have to constantly keep that active to where it's like, I can't say certain things. I can't do certain things, you know? And that kind of keeps us in a state of control, in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? And it keeps us in a state of that. And I personally feel like, you know, in that negative aspect, it can give us anxiety in many ways, because our conscious mind is one that we have to continually stay on point with. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like those little things, all of the actions that proceed from the conscious mind are things that, you know, we have to be aware of daily, hourly, you know, minutely. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's different. And I see that if we, you know, so one of our greatest connections to reality is that the ability that if we can use our conscious minds, subconscious minds, and unconscious minds all in the same platform, like all be wired to do the same thing, it gets deep. So our conscious mind, the reason why I say it's the most dangerous, because it's the one we're most aware of, but it's the part of the mind that we put the most precedence to. You feel me? We don't even think that our subconscious minds can be programmed. We don't even think that our unconscious minds can be programmed, because we're thinking that my conscious mind is strong. See, a lot of times we're built on the premise that, you know, I'm a strong-minded individual. What form of your mind is strong? What pillar of your mind is strong? You dig what I'm saying? Are you consciously strong-minded? Because that is like, okay, you know, that's where the stubborn nature comes in. And that's where people don't have the flexibility to bend to new information. So it's like when people think I have a strong mind, it's like, it's typically they're speaking on the fact that they have a strong conscious mind. You feel me? So it's like, I'm not budging on this because I know this is right. I know this is that. And, you know, that's where that plays into. But that strong conscious mind is more so based off of, the illusion of what we think is really ours. So that now segues into, you know, action following thought. You feel what I'm saying? So typically our conscious mind is where our actions reside, you know, what we think. So then you have your subconscious actions. This is, you know, the subconscious mind is pretty much a lot of the layers that a lot of people are aware of. Like, I acted subconsciously, or this is what it is. But subconscious mind is like semi-conscious. It's like semi-aware. You have you have that smooth balance. You feel what I mean? You have that smooth balance between where things are placed there for you to act autonomously, but you're still aware of what can transpire and what you're gonna do. Like, this is typically when anger and things get involved, and we'll be like, yo, you're gonna make me blank on you. And blanking on somebody is when either the subconscious mind or the unconscious mind kicks in. However, the subconscious mind is the one where you're still in a little bit of control, because you put the things in there that you would, you know, basically allow or not allow. But the subconscious mind is the one that typically starts the ball rolling for us to be gravitated towards certain things. You feel what I'm saying? To be moved towards certain things and calibrated towards certain things naturally. So our subconscious mind is how we develop friendships. Our subconscious mind is how we pick our jobs, our careers, and, you know, different shit like that. That's where our subconscious mind kicks in. That's like pretty much where our calibration is. We think it's our mind. I'm thinking about this. Like, nah, your subconscious mind is created from the niche that you grew up in, the like your majors, all of that shit that comes into, you know, that. So you don't necessarily have to act, and, you know, okay, you don't have to think too much about the action, whatever is in your subconscious mind. And here's where that becomes problematic, because a lot of our subconscious, one of the biggest things about our subconscious mind is that what's created, what's held there is our a lot of the things that are going to keep us suppressed. And when it comes to our masculinity, our subconscious minds are hit first. You know, really, our unconscious minds are hit the heaviest, but our subconscious minds are really hit first. And when it comes to our subconscious mind, and our thought process of masculinity, everything is kind of off. You feel what I'm saying? Because it starts off from, we can look at birth, you know, and why masculinity is going to be so masculinity is affected from birth. You know, as I always tell people, you know, your masculinity will become its strongest when you're able to completely harmonize with women. But from birth, our subconscious minds have been programmed to be against women. You feel what I'm saying? From the time we leave the room, from the time we leave the womb and our umbilical cord is cut, that initially starts it. You feel what I'm saying? We come into a world crying, and then our mother is not the first person that holds us. You feel what I'm saying? That's, it happens to the girls too, but this is so for our conversations. It's about us. You feel me? So, the boy, he comes out, umbilical cord's cut. This is how the subconscious mind is starting to getting, the subconscious and unconscious mind, but specifically the subconscious right now, is starting to have that tie severed from the mother. You feel me? That immediate cut from the umbilical cord. Like, you feel me? The umbilical cord, like, contrary, like, I don't know why people don't see this. Like, the umbilical cord is connected to the child and connected to the mother. If the mother feels pain when she pushes the placenta out, you don't think the child feels pain when the cord to the placenta is cut? You feel what I'm saying? That is a connection. That is the skin is formed. It has life force running through it. That is a first level of pain. Bam. That the child experiences. Boom, it's cut. Taken away from the mother, wiped off clean, then put back in the mother's hand. So the mother never touches it for the first. You feel me? That's why it's like, in ancient ancestry and shit, when birth was happening, you let the placenta come out, then you let the actual, all of the nutrients be absorbed from the placenta completely, and then you let it fall off on its own, the umbilical cord fall off on its own. But now we cut the umbilical cord. That's the first form of trauma that we feel, as boys. That's the first form of trauma that we feel when we leave our mothers. You feel what I'm saying? Then from that perspective, from that perspective, once we have that, 6 weeks after that, we create the abandonment, the separation anxiety and shit and all of that, because, our mother's got to go back to work. Father's already gone. We ain't even going, like, not whether he's like the physical, like the deadbeat absent, or he's the present absent, working all the time, 16 hours a day just to protect and provide. He's not there. You feel what I'm saying? Then we're now moved into daycare. You feel me? We're now moved into daycare, whatever the case may be. So from the beginning, our masculine essence is now going to be dictated from femininity from the beginning. You feel what I'm saying? And as I said, if you understand femininity, you know the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of synthesis and construction. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to act like women. It's not gender-based the way that I'm speaking about femininity. You dig what I'm saying? So from there, we're able to now, we now go into that realm where our subconscious mind is being dictated off of the things that we felt. You feel me? Within the first, month and a half? First month, well, I ain't gonna say first month. Within the first 6 months, all children experience a level of trauma that can't be understood. And people think that just because the children doesn't have the memory banks, according to, psychological aspects and shit, where, children don't start remembering things until 2, their soul is intact, their mind is intact, and a lot of that shit is already imprinted and impacted within them. So within the first 6 months, as boys, we've already had our umbilical cord cut, severed from my mother. We've had what's the process? Circumcision. You feel me? Circumcision. A child, a newborn, an infant, a baby that young, is entirely too young to take numbing drugs. So they have to cut the skin off while the baby feels everything about it. You feel me? Then it has to heal. You have the moments where it heals against the parent, you have to do certain things. But these are traumas that the child is feeling. The baby's feeling are being programmed to this unconscious mind. There's damage there. You feel what I'm saying? These are psychological traumas that are now impacting my subconscious mind. So whether or not I even know that I'm exhibiting this, these things are wired. I'm not being protected. I'm not being nurtured. I'm not being sustained. I'm not being cared for. You feel me? Then after all of that shit, the doctoring and the maternity leave and all of that shit happens, I now go to a daycare. You feel me? I now go to a daycare. Only Only Creator knows what is happening in the daycare behind your closed doors to your children. You feel what I'm saying? I get it. We all got to do what we got to do. We got to find the right daycare to do X, Y, and Z. But you never like, and some people can be good in one instance, they could be bad in another. It's all in, I guess, how the interaction occurs. You feel me? I remember when I was like 5 years old, I was at this babysitter who she wouldn't do shit to me, but I would witness her do shit to the other kids. But the only reason why she wouldn't do shit to me is because I could talk, and I could talk fluently and well, and I would be able to tell shit like, yo, she did X, Y, and Z, and I could tell it in detail. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like no hesitation, no pause breaks or anything like that. But, you know, you kind of never know what the fuck is happening in that aspect. I'm not trying to scare nobody, on that, but I'm speaking on how the levels of the mind are being affected right now. You feel what I'm saying? So that's how our subconscious mind, it's the traumas and the damage that we affect through the physical world. So, we're severed from our mothers from the beginning, so therefore that's automatically going to put us at a block, from birth. We're automatically put at the block where we're kind of against and in opposition to the feminine energy, because it's like the feminine energy is already allowing damage to occur to us. You feel me? Now, this is not saying that there's malicious intent on the feminine energy's part. There's not malicious intent in that regard as to why this is occurring. You dig what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's still happening. Whether it's, it's like a car accident and you're not at fault. It's like a car accident that you're not responsible for, but you're still found at fault. You feel what I'm saying? It's one of those things like, I ain't really do the shit, but, like if you rear end somebody because they purposely stopped short in front of you, you're still at fault. It's not your responsibility. You didn't actually do it, but it's like, damn, you feel me? I'm at fault for that shit. So it's like, that's that programming starts to happen. So the subconscious mind it's where that occurs. You feel what I'm saying? What that would do to you, and that then keeps us programmed into, segues into the openness for us to go into our unconscious mind, which is the most dramatic and the most drastic, because our unconscious mind is programmed heavily. And the unconscious mind is, I guess, the most important topic that I really want to discuss here, because the unconscious mind is where things are implanted within us that make us act automatically. It's where the mind control actually happens. So people think mind control is, if I wear aluminum foil on my head or some shit like that, or if it's like, nah, mind control is deeper than that. And it's really a lot easier to do, because the mind control that happens to us, it happens within our unconscious mind. So now when we look at the school to prison pipeline, this is where the unconscious mind sits, right? And like I said, the unconscious mind makes it act autonomously. This is the shit that's just like, we like, how the fuck did I even do that shit? It's all hindsight that you look back and say, I shouldn't even have been doing that shit. Or I shouldn't even been involved in this type of relationship. Or I shouldn't even been carrying myself this particular way. Why the fuck did I do that? Because the unconscious mind has already been programmed. And it's programmed through two things. So each level of the mind, you have, of course, the senses that it must appeal to. But then you have a higher level of the senses. You have the inner form of the senses. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you have insight, you have your intuition, which is your third eye shit. Like, you feel what I'm saying? You have your inner sight. You feel me? You have your inner sight, you have your inner hearing. You have different things like that are actually above above the plane of the physical aspect. So just because you think you don't, when you're listening to something and you're hearing it, you think, oh, I internalize it a certain way. I use the metaphor of music every time, because this is how the music and television are the ways in which the unconscious mind is programmed. Like, the shit that you listen to on a regular basis and the shit that you see on a regular basis are what control your unconscious mind. You feel what I'm saying? And this is why it's very, very important, because when your unconscious mind is programmed, you just act. You don't have to think about shit, you act. And that is the thing that once that trigger hits you, it brings you to a certain point. It makes you do a certain thing. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why I say music is music, and this is why music is the most potent, and this is why television, imagery, and all of that shit is the second most potent. You feel what I'm saying? Because once something hits over your beat and it's programmed into your unconscious mind, you just act it out. You just act it out. You feel what I'm saying? So let's consider the unconscious mind. All right, and let's consider the way in which we're programmed. Now let's go into the school to prison pipeline. This is how they know that by 16 years old, we could be high school dropouts. By 17, we can be inmates. And by 25, in the prime of our lives, okay, this is how we can kill them. Because they're not in their viable state to actually create and procreate children healthily. And even if they are able to, we've already programmed, the shit's already programmed, consider it. And it's programmed for a lot of the self-destruction. You dig what I'm saying? It's programmed for a lot of the self-destruction. Although I'm talking about so frail conversations with masculinity and us as men, this example relates to women so much, but it is directly related to the unconscious mind. I don't give a fuck who the woman is. If she's in our culture, this one particular song, no matter how old she is, no matter how young she is, since the song released, when it drops, you feel me? She acts to it. And it's Back That Ass Up by Juvenile for the 99 and the 2000. As soon as you hear the intro to that song, women will automatically act. You feel me? So much so, it's joking as fuck, but so much so that there's been memes made about how she could be dancing and tired, but as soon as she hear that 99 for the 2000 takeover, she runs back on the floor. Why do you think that is? That's unconscious programming. You although you're in the moment, oh, that's my shit, let me get out there. How did that, in that one aspect, you just admitted that you were tired. You just admitted that you were ready to go. You didn't, but you heard that song and all of that shit went away. You see how powerful the mind is? It literally shut down all physical pain that you just felt and sent you back on the dance floor to dance one more time. You feel me? So I use that example because it's like when we consider us as men, the school to prison pipeline, that shit is very powerful because in order for that shit to manifest itself and happen, it has to be known that our unconscious mind is affected. So our unconscious mind is being affected since we're babies. You feel me? Since we're babies. Because our upbringing, the way in which we're raised, all of that is contingent upon cyclic shit that has programmed the unconscious mind. Cyclic shit that programs the unconscious mind. So, being defenseless, being powerless, different things like that. There's always two avenues as to how a person is going to go. Either he's going to become, and I talk about this in So For One, either he's going to become extremely passive or he's going to become extremely aggressive, because the way his unconscious mind programs him to act, it's either going to be, what I internalize is, okay, whatever I've done, I don't need to respond to, or whatever I've done, I do need to respond to. Basic, simple shit. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like the programming, the music, the TV, all of the shit that we listen to, all the shit that we see on a regular basis, that is what hits our unconscious mind. And once it hits our unconscious mind, fuck your goals, fuck your thoughts, fuck your ambition. Whatever hits your unconscious mind, that's what you're going to be in life. Hey, huddle up, broskies, because it's time to elevate. The secret to evolving masculinity is to define it, understand it, then apply it. The So Frail series defines masculinity as the spiritual, mental, and physical embodiment of the essence of analysis and deconstruction. From this definition, I explain how masculinity is not just the hat that we wear, but it's the essence that we must exude through application. If you enjoy the So Frail conversations, why not read the books that inspire them? Visit IamJustSeen.com right now to add the So Frail series to your library to get a better understanding of what masculinity really is. I promise, after reading So Frail, you will never look at masculinity the same again. That's what you're going to come to. That's what you're going to emerge from. You feel me? So that's what has to be programmed. And like I said, I if we listen to the mainstream music, like in order to get the music that has meaning, you have to buy the album. You have to buy the artist's album. Like there's the singles that they're gonna lead with. Look at the shit that has been like from the time I liked music. You feel me? The shit that has been on, that has been masculine music for men to listen to has always been about fucking fighting and killing shit. You feel me? Fucking fighting and killing shit. Like that's like I'm 29 years old. I say I probably started listening to music heavy, or even remembering it, being aware of what I was listening to when I was probably 3. So let's say for 26 years of my life, I've listened to a certain genre of music. I listened to a certain theme of music. You dig what I mean? To a certain theme of music. And in that, I'm fortunate enough that, my mom listened to different styles. I had gospel, I had R&B, I had rap, I had, and she wouldn't even I had to sneak to listen to rap for the most part. Like it'll be on some shit like, she was gone or something, I'll make my mixtape, like radio come on, I record it. But even still, I had the edited versions and shit. So certain things were, it couldn't be said. But for the most part, I had that plethora and that variety of music. But some of us really only have one funnel and one focus of music that we've always listened to. And that's what keeps the cycle going. That's what keeps the unconscious mind being programmed. So we just constantly act this shit out. You dig what I'm saying? We constantly act this shit out. We don't even have to think about the shit that we're doing because of what's being programmed. You feel what I'm saying? So if every day I'm watching shit about this is the way men are supposed to be, this is how men are supposed to be, you feel me? Or I'm listening to how this is men are supposed to be, that's what creates my masculinity. That's what develops it. You feel me? Fuck the imagery that we see, because there's certain shit that we can't watch. You feel me? But because we can watch basic shit about this is why when it comes to Disney, you feel me? I ain't got no gripe with Disney. I don't really give a fuck, but it's very, very important that you understand that they are very well aware of how the unconscious mind is being programmed. You feel what I'm saying? So when we consider our Disney princesses and princes and shit like that, let's look at these movies, right? Because you have to be able to see yourself in order to relate and connect to it. But it hits your unconscious mind regardless, as long as you don't see yourself. The only two black princes and princesses that have ever been in these movies are Simba and Tiana. You feel what I'm saying? And both of these were animals the whole movie. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But we knew who they were referring to. But it's like, I can't give you that imagery. You feel me? I'm not going to give you that imagery because your unconscious mind is going to be programmed in order for you to act and think that you can be great. I know that I'm not a lion. You feel me? That was like The Lion King was my favorite movie as a kid. Still one of my favorite movies, hands down. But had I saw that it was a black man or a black boy going into his kingship and all of that shit would have changed me. Princess Tiana, she was a frog for most of the fucking movie. Because your unconscious mind has to be rewired. I can't let you see the power in it. But what do we see as the ones that are like the princes and the actual princess and princess movies? Like, they actually have the actual characters. So that's why it's very, very important that you explain and you're allowing your children to see these proper images. When I was young, I love my mother so much for this. I love my mama so much for this. And she wired my unconscious mind well. And when I remember, like, the reason why I was always asked, like, do you, why is it that you can only date black women? Because it's like, I ain't even realized it then, but I know now. My mom programmed me to only fuck with black women. You feel what I'm saying? She only programmed me to fuck with black women and only to view myself as a black man. You feel me? When I was young, I read books like, when I read the Jack and the Beanstalk book, like, my mom, it was like Jamaica. I think the kid's name was Jamaica and the Beanstalk. It was a little black kid. So I'm reading the story and it's like, I see me in it. You feel me? Now, mind you, I'm like 2-3 years old when I'm going over these stories and shit like that. But the point that I was making about being programmed unconsciously to only fuck with black women was she gave me this book called Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. And it was like, I recommend that book for everybody in our culture to give to their sons. You feel what I'm saying? Especially in that early stage. Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. I didn't know shit about a bad bitch. I didn't know shit about a foreign. I didn't know shit about anything. I knew shit about Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. When I saw Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters, I saw my sister. I saw my mama. I saw my aunties. I saw the black women that when I went to school. I said, oh shit, you look like the girl from Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. Oh shit, you look like the girl from Mufaro's Beautiful Daughters. And these women, and in the book, these women were brown-skinned girls. You feel what I'm saying? They were brown-skinned girls. Now, I'm not saying that created or any type of favoritism or allusion to, okay, I only date no. But the point is, it was like one wasn't glorified over the other or anything like that. Like, because on a regular basis, I see the music, the entertainment is always going to show us, the light skinned bitch is the better one. You know what I'm saying? You get you the light skinned foreign red bone, blah, 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 all that shit. That is the unconscious programming. You feel what I'm saying? That is the unconscious programming. And it's so unconscious that if you see a light skinned girl, your initial reaction is just to approach her. You feel what I'm saying? Not to actually see or like the whole mentality of the unconscious program is just like automatically off the rip. she's automatically at a certain caliber just because of her skin complexion. That is unconscious programming. You don't even think about that shit. You feel me? I got little cousins who, you know, who don't even understand the magnitude of the fact that they see dark skin as a negative thing while they have dark skinned siblings. You feel what I'm saying? They'll say shit like, yo, such and such is too black. That is unconscious programming. And that is the unconscious programming for the self-destruction of a people. You feel what I mean? That is the unconscious programming. So we actually exhibit that behavior. You feel what I'm saying? So when our unconscious mind is impacted, we just act. We don't think about shit. This is why the music is so important. You know, Tupac said it best. He said, when they're not gonna let you talk about what you want to talk about, the music's gonna get back to some bullshit. You feel me? All you're gonna be talking about is fucking and doing dumb shit on a regular basis. And look at the music that we have right now. Our greatest, the songs that we listen to the most heavily that are geared for what we listen to: trap music and sex music. You feel me? I ain't even gonna say sex music. I'm gonna say trap music and womanizing. You feel what I'm saying? R&B singers will beg and plead. Well, now they changed a little bit because now they become rappers with harmony. But R&B singers used to beg and plead for a woman. You dig what I'm saying? Only to at the same time beg and plead for another woman. You feel what I'm saying? Like look at how, you know, it shifted. There was a time, like I say, from the 70s, if you listen to your Earth, Wind and Fire, your Temptations and shit, like when they actually made songs about a woman, it was that one woman. You dig what I'm saying? It was about that one woman. And that was it. It's like, but then music started to change, you know, a little bit in regards to that. And it was like, okay, I only want this particular woman that has a man. I'm going to treat you better than he can. You know, you talk about misogyny. I got a recent podcast about that where I'm talking about misogyny also being the competition between men. And it's also been so Frail in a little bit more detail. You know, I can treat you better than this man can. Look at how all of the R&B music has shifted into that shit. You feel me? Don't nobody want their own woman. They want the power that know that they've taken taken a woman from another man. You dig what I'm saying? Like, I can love you better than he can. All the things your man won't do. And then after we do that shit, we'll simultaneously beg for another man. Like, your man ain't me. And they'll simultaneously sing and come off that. And we'll set that standard within ourselves to say, okay, take this man has a woman, right? Take her from him. You feel me? So when we approach women and shit, this is how I learned how to holler when I was young. You feel me? Motherfucker, I'll be like, and this is why a woman's first reaction when a man is trying to talk to her is, I have a boyfriend. Right? One or two things is going to happen. He's going to say, oh, okay, well, he ain't going to let you have friends or whatever that is. Or he's going to say, that man ain't me. Instant reaction. You feel what I'm saying? That's unconscious wiring. It ain't the level of respect to say, oh, damn, you're taken. It's like, okay, no competition on. I'll take you from him. You feel me? He ain't me. He ain't got money. He ain't got this. So there's certain criteria and certain things that we use that our unconscious mind is rewired to actually do. You feel what I'm saying? This music shit is very potent. It's very crucial in that. So now that's one aspect of it, right? That's one aspect of the programming. Then we have the other aspect, drug music, gangster shit. You feel me? Yeah, we all ain't gangsters. Everybody ain't built for the gangster life. You feel me? For one, gangsters supposed to be moving in silence. You feel what I'm saying? Gangsters ain't supposed to have albums. You feel what I'm saying? Well, whatever the case may be. You feel me? We have been conditioned to gangster life. You know? And it's like, real gangsters know who's really a gangster on music. Real gangsters know that, okay, you're getting hype, you letting this song hype you up, but you ain't really about that shit. And that and shit like that is what turns killers into killers who really had no intention to kill. You dig what I'm saying? This is like, imagine listening to a song that's telling you only thing, shoot this nigga, shoot this nigga, shoot this nigga, shoot this nigga, and now you're angry. When your emotions get involved, you know, that's one of the smoothest ways to tap into the unconscious mind and get it to act. Your emotions. This is why, you know, there's a lot of fear-based media that goes on, you know, that show us not killing ourselves, that show us being killed by police in the streets and everything. It invokes that fear, puts in your unconscious mind that when you see the police, be afraid. Be afraid that they'll kill you. That's how the unconscious mind works. You feel what I'm saying? So now back to the music part. When that's all we've been hearing. I'm gonna kill this nigga, 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 I'm gonna kill this nigga. You feel what I'm saying? Shit pops off, bam, and a certain string of criteria. This is why the perfect example is why in the club, I don't know if they do this on purpose. I don't know if club owners really do this shit on purpose, but the shit pops off. And it pops off almost fucking, when I used to go to the club, it popped off almost at the exact same hour, at the exact same time, whatever the case may be. You feel what I'm saying? You got the club, you have the mellow music in the beginning, you have all the sensual, sexy dance music and shit. That's weeding the motherfuckers out who have been programmed to, once you hear this, you go fucking. They leave in the club. Then after that shit, something happens where all the gangster shit comes in. All of the turn up music comes in. All of the music where you niggas start bumping each other. Within that hour, motherfuckers have been fighting in the club. You think that's an accident? You feel me? This song may be old, but it's one of the most relevant. So I'm outside of the club and he think I'm a punk. So I told the motherfuckers I ain't never scared. Niggas be in the club, that crunk music, they start bumping each other, boom, boom, boom. Fight happens almost instantly. If you a club goer, you pretty much have experienced the shit that I'm talking about. Clubs don't get shut down. Why not? Why does this shit allowed to continually happen? Like, we know that this shit is going to happen at a specific time. You dig what I'm saying? The police already be out there. You dig what I mean? Like the police already be out there when shit pop off. Nobody's ever paid attention to that shit. When the club is about to get shut down because motherfuckers was fighting in the club, how are the police cars already there so deep? Take a second to think about that shit. When you go out of the club, after you've been in the club, you probably just now registering it. If you've been in the club and the shit motherfuckers, you like, yo, I can't, that's why I don't like coming out with these motherfuckers, because they always do this, club getting shut down and makes motherfuckers. As soon as you walk out, within the time frame, you're not even thinking about it. Within the time frame of evacuating the club, you see cop cars all around the club. Now, some people say it's coincidence. Well, that's the time the club closes, so everything takes. Why? It's certain shit that has to go into that, and there's certain unconscious realities that now are played out. The very music that we listen to, the very shit that we watch on a regular basis is affecting us on that level. So as black men, we are programmed unconsciously to react from a level that is going to destroy us, that is going to be masculine, that's going to be feminine in nature. It's not masculine in nature. You feel what I'm saying? Your masculinity overrides your unconscious. Your masculinity overrides the unconscious actions that you have a lot of times. When it's there and it's allowed to be manipulated. And not manipulated, it's allowed to be manifested and controlled. But we're shifted into our feminine essence from birth, and it has to be made toxic. And that's why I made toxic femininity, to show that, oh yeah, we're still men. You feel me? We're still manly too. But we're toxic feminine because of the unconscious program that has been infected and imposed upon us. So now I was talking about the school to prison pipeline. I kind of got off about that, but those points were very relevant. So when we consider the school to prison pipeline, you dig what I'm saying? The school system is designed to teach us how to think on all levels, the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind, from the feminine essence. Whereas men, I don't like, people, they debate me and they argue me all the time, but they can't stop what I'm talking about. You feel me? We talk all the time that men, we have the predisposition for masculinity. I never said that we don't have, masculinity alone, exclusively, but we have the predisposition by creation to be masculine. You feel what I'm saying? But our predisposition is silenced because we learn from the feminine essence from the beginning. You feel me? Run down the list of all of your teachers. Fuck that, I'm not even gonna say all your teachers, because the school to prison pipeline ultimately has been kicked off and solidified by third grade. So run down your Head Start, if you went Head Start preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. Well, second grade, we'll stop there. I say, because third grade is already enacted. They already know what the fuck's about to pop off. You feel what I'm saying? Think about all your teachers. They were all women, for the most part. The bulk of us, some of us may have had male teachers, but the bulk of us, we have had, when I say bulk, I mean a high 90%, have had women as our teachers for the first fundamental points of our lives. And our women, and the women that are teaching us, whether they were black or not, the women that are teaching us are still teaching us from a feminine essence, because that's what the curriculum is built under. It's not built for the masculine essence. It's built for the feminine essence, because when it's built for the feminine essence, everything is about recollection. Everything is about memory. You feel what I'm saying? It's not about knowledge. It's not about having the understanding of the information. It's about remembering the information. Masculinity can't do that. Masculinity does not focus on detail, focus on principle. You feel what I'm saying? So our unconscious mind is now being reprogrammed to go against our natural predisposition. You feel me? So this is why you have, you have some of us who's like, when we're excelling in school, we're good at history. Like history buffs are bullshit to me. A history buff, a motherfucker who can spell, a motherfucker who remembers definitions and shit like that. That really doesn't move me. That's not intelligent to me. But that's what we define as intelligent. You feel me? A motherfucker can win a spelling bee. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh, you're so smart you can spell. No, you just remembered a sequence of fucking letters. That doesn't mean that you're intelligent. That means you're good at memorizing. You feel what I'm saying? A history buff. That doesn't mean you're intelligent. That means you're good at recollecting information. But these same history buffs, these same spelling bee champions, these same all of that, why do they have difficulty in math and science? Because those two areas you can't remember, especially math. You have to know that shit. You feel me? You have to know that shit. And it's when we actually know that shit that we become problematic. Because we don't have to remember it. You feel what I'm saying? Look at today's youth and shit. If you go over math problems with them and shit, they're not teaching our kids to know the concept. They're teaching them to remember. You feel me? At least I know my times tables. But we learn how to memorize them. This is why a kid can struggle. A kid can know 7 times 3 equals 21, but still struggle with 3 times 7. Why? Because that is a detail. I know the detail. I've memorized 7 times 3, but I never memorized 3 times 7. Although it's the same shit, just switch a different way. And as an adult, you're getting frustrated because you're looking at your child like, it's the same problem, just a different way. They can't see it as the same problem because they didn't memorize it. You feel me? Now, if you teach them to know that shit, okay, you have a 7 multiplied by 3 is the same as a 3 multiplied by 7. It's just viewed a different way. They're able to see the principle in that shit, and they're able to internalize it. You feel what I'm saying? So now, back to the school to prison pipeline shit. Our unconscious mind has been programmed to be operating for femininity, but we're naturally leading with masculinity. So we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle. This system is now designed to get more and more fucked up in regards to our masculine essence. You dig what I'm saying? And now it's wiring into our programming. So the school system is unconsciously programming us to be feminine. You feel me? In essence. Now again, this is not say being it's above gender. It's shifting us to our mentality of synthesis and construction when we're supposed to be under the mentality of analysis and deconstruction. So they can't teach us that way. It's all women teachers. It's all like, even if they can't teach us as men, this system is not designed for us. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a part of the unconscious programming. You feel me? Within this unconscious programming, what it now alludes to is that we now have the music, we now have the imagery. You feel me? Every day, what am I going to see represents, what am I going to see a woman as? Every day, what I'm going to hear as a woman. Feel me? I'm not going to find that good one. Ain't no good one, because all they do is show me that all they do is show me that they're bad ones. You feel me? All they do is show me that they're bad ones. And in that process, what I'm going to do is, if I do get a good one, I'm going to bring the bad out of her, because that's my unconscious attraction. That's my unconscious nature. It's my unconscious mind to act. You feel what I'm saying? It's my unconscious mind just to do that shit. You feel me? So I never have to operate from my masculine essence. But what they do teach me is that, okay, here's your toxic feminine, here's your feminine essence. We're going to shift you to that programming. Your unconscious mind is going to be feminine. Therefore, your subconscious mind is by default going to be feminine. Therefore, your conscious mind is going to be feminine. Now, the conscious mind is where the manipulation and the mind fuck actually happens, because it's shifted to toxic feminine because you're now taught to be in opposition to women. So whatever feminine essence you feel from a woman, you now have to just shift to the negative polarity. And that's what creates toxic femininity. So this is why, as men, we're more apt to argue with women. We're more apt to be catty, argumentative, or emotionally unavailable. We're more apt to do these things because our unconscious mind has been programmed into that shit from birth. So by the time we get into the dating phase, courting and all that shit's already set. Women be thinking, like, pay attention to a man's favorite songs. When I grew up, like, I watched the phases change. You feel me? I watched the era of, like, my big homies only listening to trap music. You feel me? Only listening to trap music. And everybody thought they were drug dealers. You feel me? Motherfuckers was telling you, if you ain't trapping, kill yourself. Well, shit, I ain't about to kill myself, so I might as well trap. See, that's unconscious programming. You feel me? To where now, in that moment, it was more of it transformed from, me telling you your story my story of what I went through to now I'm telling you to do this shit. Because if you're not doing this shit, you ain't shit. You feel me? It's unconscious programming. So now you just act it out. You feel me? So you can, this is why motherfuckers be like, you know, how did the police know that? Because the trappers have a certain, like, you feel me? You listen to the music, they tell you what they're going to drive. They tell you what the bando look like. They tell you all of the shit. Like they give their shit away because this is the unconscious programming. So it's like when I start trapping, when I start doing this, this is where I'm going. This is what my trap going to look like. This is what I'm going to drive. This is the music that I'm going to listen to. Then you get pulled over and you wonder why. Why he pulling me? Bitch, you told on yourself. You feel me? You showed him what you're supposed to be looking like. You feel me? Because your unconscious mind acted and you had no control over it. You didn't even know why. You didn't even know why you wanted that crown bit. You feel me? You didn't even know why you felt the need to put the rims on the bitch. You feel me? Because this is what drug dealers do. I'm a drug dealer now. This is what I do. You feel what I'm saying? So now it's shifted to now this generation of kids are all junkies. Motherfuckers is 21, 23 years old dying of overdoses, having seizures because they're popping pills and sipping lean and all that shit too much because the music started the shit. You feel me? Now, mind you, you cannot call somebody a faggot online. You cannot call somebody a faggot in music, right? Motherfuckers will shut that shit down. But all day long, I can tell you to pop pills and sip lean. I can tell you to damn it. I can tell you to do all of this destructive shit. How is that okay? Because do you understand the unconscious programming? You feel what I'm saying? We understand the unconscious programming, you know, and it's all for the demise of the people. It's all for the demise of the people. I don't fuck your conscious mind. Like, fuck your subconscious mind. I need your unconscious mind. That's what I can control. That's what I can control without you even knowing that you're being controlled. You feel me? The unconscious mind is where our religious tenets in. The unconscious mind is where a lot of the shit that keeps us passive and docile and shit like that. That's where that shit sits. You feel me? This is why in history you can't learn about the Black Panther Party. You can't learn about Malcolm X. Because if that hits your unconscious mind, it liberates you. You feel what I'm saying? This is why you have to understand that Jesus is white. You know, painting him black, do whatever you want to do. But if your unconscious mind has already internalized from the beginning that he's white, this is why you have to consciously tell yourself, oh, that's the black Jesus. Because your unconscious mind already knows he's white. It don't change shit for you. You feel me? Whether you paint him black or not, it doesn't change the representation. Because you have to consciously make him black. You have to consciously tell, yo, Jesus is black. You feel what I'm saying? I'm talking about the black Jesus. I'm talking about like, yo, so you know that like your unconscious mind has already been programmed for one form. This has been done. Generational. You feel me? Damn near 400 plus years. It's a science at this point. And it's a science that's going to work. You feel me? It's why when I look at my father's generation and shit, I hear them say, yo, the white man won't let me do this. That's some unconscious power they don't even know they just uttered. The white man won't let me do this. The white man won't let me do this. Like, utter that shit enough. You don't have to utter that shit enough. You make it a reality. He won't let you do it. Feel me? He won't. But you gave him that much power over you. You didn't give it to him. He took it first. And then now you continually recycle it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, is something that, you know, we always talk about. Like, you know, we want a seat at the table. We wanted a seat at the table or whatever the case may be, rather than building our own table. But we got to look at how the programming is and how the programming really works, because we follow religious doctrine. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to try to wrap it up, because this is another part of the unconscious mind. Like, we follow religious doctrine, whatever. And we're told that, you know, our deity will prepare a feast for us in front of our enemies, prepare a table for a feast in front of our enemies, right? And yet, we're the people that's always begging for a seat at the table. So, who's the deity that we're really serving if we're always the enemy that is looking at somebody else's prepared feast? Why do we always want a seat at the table? You feel me? Then that brings to mind a very, 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 very impactful line that I once heard, is that the God of your enemy is your devil. So, you know, when you start to put two and two together, you start to see like we're begging for a seat at the table that wasn't even prepared for us. You feel me? But that's a part of the unconscious programming. You feel me? unconscious mind, if our unconscious minds are programmed to serve the deities of our enemies, if we're serving the gods of our enemies, what are we really serving? Are we really devil worshippers?
And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at Just Scenes merch and get your merchandise right now.
All right, I'm gonna start wrapping it up there because it's getting a lot deeper and it's gonna get a lot touchy. And we're not ready for that touchy shit yet. We're still getting used to each other here. You feel what I'm saying? But the unconscious mind is the mind that is programmed. The unconscious mind is the mind that we have to reclaim and take back in order to make ours. You feel what I'm saying? In order to be who we are. And it's gonna cause you to shake a lot of shit. You feel what I'm saying? But the unconscious mind requires a lot of programming and rewiring. You feel me? Motherfuckers always talk about unplug from the matrix, but they're speaking on it from a conscious state of mind. You feel what I'm saying? This is why it's easy to regress back into, like, I see this shit all the time and it'd be disappointing. I'd be confused as to how the fuck this is a reality. Like, motherfuckers be like, it's the pro-black play. It's a lot of pro-black people still, pro-black men, because we're on Frail conversations. It's a lot of pro-black men that are still, knocking off white women behind closed doors. Like, motherfuckers, like, y'all ain't even being secretive about it. Y'all getting caught doing the shit. But it's like, yo, you still say you for your people. You feel what I'm saying? Still for your people. That makes no sense. That's your unconscious programming to say, okay, it's still okay. It's still what it is. You feel me? So the point of that is, like, in order for us to, our unconscious minds have to be reprogrammed. This unconscious minds of our sons, whatever it is that you choose to do, like, that's on you. You feel me? But I'm like, if you want to create a certain being, you have to program their unconscious mind. They know what it takes to program an unconscious mind. They do it well. You feel me? School to Prison Pipeline is the perfect example of that shit. The unconscious mind is programmed. So when a little kid gets a certain age, no, he's going to respond a certain way. This is how by third grade I know that he's going to start failing this test. He's ultimately going to become a criminal. I said it in Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. A criminal isn't born, it's created in school. All he needs is the opportunity. You feel me? So what do you, like, look at some of the shit that actually happens to it. Look at the type of music that we listen to the most. Heavily sexualized music and drug music. It's heavily sexualized music and drug music. What are the two biggest crimes that we face? Okay. Heavily sexualized music, drug music, and gangster shit, right? Look at the three crimes that we actually face the most. Drug charges, sex charges, and murders. You dig what I'm saying? And it's almost a point of, you can guarantee who's going to do what by the music they listen to the most. I can almost guarantee that a motherfucker that always listens to trap music has a drug charge, or is about to get one. You feel me? I can almost guarantee that a motherfucker that's always listening to gangster music, the shit, I'm gonna kill a nigga, I'm gonna do this and shit, he's gonna catch a body. Or he's caught one that hasn't got caught yet. You feel what I'm saying? I can guarantee that the motherfucker who's always listening to sexual music about, fucking this bitch, fucking that bitch, like, he's gonna be a womanizer, or he's gonna catch a sexual assault case. And then be confused as to, she consented to it. She said, yeah, she was this, that, and the third. Like, yo, you see how your unconscious mind starts to be programmed for you to do stupid shit without you even knowing that you're doing stupid shit, because you think it's so normal because it's in your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind has no bias. You feel what I'm saying? It has no, this is right, this is wrong, this is good, this is bad. It says, no, this is a thing that you are putting within me, so act it out. You got to deal with the consequences. You dig what I'm saying? You got to deal with the consequences of that shit. And that's how our unconscious minds are being programmed. Take a step back. I know this was the deep one, but take a step back and start looking at the reality, the shit that happens. So this is why now when we go into this idea, like, it's so devastating to hear this stat and this number, but you feel what I'm saying? over 60% of black women have been sexually assaulted sometime in their life. Nigga, almost, you can pretty much guarantee that every other black woman in our community has been assaulted in some way, shape, or form. But, you know, crime is proximal. You feel me? So who is she being assaulted by? Her uncles. She's being assaulted by cousins. She's being assaulted by, you know, the boys that she finds, like, and you know what I'm saying? How? What sets this realm up for this to happen? You feel me? It's our unconscious programming. We're unconsciously programmed to be womanizers and shit. To respond to our women a certain way. To do certain shit to our women a certain way. You feel me? And we do that shit. You think that shit goes hand in hand? Case in, like, if in the moments in which I don't want to open up any wounds if anybody has them or anything like that. But in the moments of when certain shit, like, look at the music that you were probably hearing on a regular basis, like when certain shit happened in clubs, certain shit happened in parties, when you felt like this motherfucker crossed this line and did that shit. You feel me? This is why, in a sense, it's like, you know, the whole mentality that, yo, she just trying to set you up. She just trying to be, no. You were already set up from the jump. You were already set up from the jump. You seen a fat ass. You seen a thin waist. You seen, you know, you seen the conquering aspect of it. Yo, I'm going to fuck her. I want to fuck her because I was always programmed to fuck women that look like this. This is why, you feel me? Pay attention to social media. They tell everything, bro. Pay attention to how motherfuckers be like, yo, women have to actually say little booties matter. And dudes, I don't want no skinny chick. I don't want no girl like we're programmed to like a certain thing. We're programmed to like a certain thing. And that certain thing that we're programmed to like now are starting to actually be men. So now they're actually setting a new program and say, yeah, you can do it. You feel me? You can do it. No, you can't do it. But you feel me? When your unconscious mind is set in motion, you then get on interviews and you say certain shit like, you know, it's not gay if a man get his dick sucked twice. Nigga, yes it is. You feel what I'm saying? You get on stage saying, yo, that's that. You get caught up and try to do freestyles to backpedal your way out of the shit of the fact that you like men. You feel me? And you're realizing that, and this is why it gets so poisonous, and this is why it gets so fucking toxic and you know, psychologically impairing. Because truth be told, a lot of these men, they probably aren't gay. You feel what I'm saying? They're doing gay shit. They probably aren't gay because of the conditioning of what the criteria sets in motion. If I say that the mentality is, you know, get the bad bitch with the slim waist and she looks like foreign, she looks like this, niggas is starting to look like foreign bitches these days. You feel what I'm saying? So I don't see that my unconscious mind now acts on that shit. This is genocide at its finest. This is genocide at its finest. You dig what I'm saying? And it's all because they're controlling the unconscious mind. Shit that you can't even fucking see. You feel me? So it's on us to be on point with it and say, you know what? We got to raise our boys different. Our peers, they can't be changed. Like, you can see your peer. You feel me? This is why it's like, yo, I can cuss a bitch out if she turns me down or whatever the case may be. You feel what I'm saying? I would never turn down or spaz on a woman who I wasn't even attracted to, who didn't fit the criteria of what I thought a woman was. Like, you know how many bad bitches got cussed out in the club because they said no? How many of these little booty matters chicks ever got cussed out because they was interested in the dude? And, you know, like, we don't respond negatively like that to it. Like, you got to look at the gamut of what it is. You feel me? 34, 24, 36. How I remember that number is because that shit's programmed within me. It's programmed within my unconscious mind. You feel me? So where I'm only gonna be looking for women that look like that. And then when I see that, and if I hear a song that says 34, 24, 36, and I see a video vixen, and when that part is said, damn, I need a thick bitch. Like, that's what it is. So all of the women that I'm looking for are gonna be like that. That's our unconscious programming. I just use this visual because it's more important when it comes to that with our attraction, but that's on all levels. That's on all cylinders. Our unconscious mind is being programmed to destroy ourselves. You feel me? Pay attention to the music that you listen to. Pay attention to the shit that you watch. It is just entertainment. Entertainment broken down etymologically. It's entertain and meant. Enter means to go inside. Tame means to hold. Mint means the mind. Entertain means to go in and hold your motherfucking mind. And what are we entertained by? As men, we're entertained by sex, drugs, and bullshit. And then our sisters, y'all unconscious minds are being programmed to receive that shit. I was talking to a homegirl one day, and she was like, "Why do I keep attracting a fuckboy?" I'm like, "Yo, you like fuckboys? Listen to the music that y'all got going on too. Give me a nigga that's gonna do this, that, and the third. Give me a motherfucker like, yo, that's the fuckboy template." Just like our music tells us to fuck with bad bitches that we can't have over time, or that really ain't got shit going for them except that they physical. Y'all music tells y'all to listen to fuckboys and get fucked by them on a regular basis. So when you see a fuckboy, you just get, I don't know why I like him. I do. Your unconscious mind is programmed for you to like him. Because the cycle is going to repeat. He's going to damage you. You're going to damage him. You're designed. You're structured to become a bad bitch and fuck with fuck boys. He's structured to become a fuck boy and fuck with bad bitches. And both are structured to destroy each other. It's genocide, my guy, and it's all derived from your unconscious programming. You feel me? It's derived from your unconscious programming and what your unconscious mind has taken in, what your unconscious mind has internalized, and what your unconscious mind is going to react to. You know what I'm saying? This shit is deep. That's why it's very important that you understand the 3 pillars of the mind. You feel me? Like I said, it's almost impossible to we cannot change the elders. We can't. They're done for. Their programming has already reached a certain level that their programming is what kind of fucked us up. You feel me? Even our peers, they're iffy. So it's like you got to get to that point where it's like, motherfucker, yo, I'm trying to wake everybody. You can't wake everybody up. Or you're trying to what we think is being woke. A lot of motherfuckers, yo, I'm woke now. I'm conscious. I'm this and this. Okay, motherfucker, that just means you're aware of the shit your conscious mind thinks. You ain't even reprogrammed your unconscious mind. This is why you still respond negatively to your brothers and sisters if they don't think like you. You feel what I'm saying? That's unconscious programming. If you don't think like me, I don't fuck with you. You feel me? If you don't fit within my realm of thought, I can't fuck with you. That's unconscious programming. You feel me? Case in point, and I end with this. Whenever I talk to people about religion, their unconscious mind kicks in, and their unconscious mind kicks in from a very destructive place. And we can be talking about one particular topic. And a lot of times they initiate the shit with me. I've learned to leave them alone. You feel me? I'm like, all right, look, bro, it is what it is, bro. Like, I'm not going to get into that shit. But nah, because you think, Nate, because their conscious mind has them thinking that they can stand and match. But it's like their unconscious mind doesn't even know what the fuck they're about to get into. You feel me? But when their unconscious mind gets into the shit, and it's almost like a knee-jerk reaction. When different things occur, your unconscious mind kicks in to divert and do certain things. So you feel what I'm saying? So when it comes to our religious doctrine, when it comes to shit like that, people's unconscious mind kicks in when their conscious mind runs out. And then they start deflecting and start going here. That's what cognitive dissonance is. Cognitive dissonance is when your unconscious mind conflicts with your conscious mind. And you're still trying to understand your reality, and you can't because now you're not making sense anymore. And you don't even know that you're not making sense. You feel me? But that is a part of the unconscious programming. You feel what I'm saying? Once you reach a certain point and somebody reaches a certain, like, bam, deflect, do whatever I can do to stop this reality from happening. You feel what I'm saying? So they start throwing out random shit that really ain't got shit to do with shit. And if you continually bring the topic back, you feel me? They continue to talk circles around it because their unconscious mind says, get away from this. You feel me? You've been programmed to not even accept another person's perspective. You've been programmed not to expect to respect another person's thought process. You've been programmed not to do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? So when it presents itself, the programming teaches you to say, okay, bam, divert. You feel me? So it's like you when it comes to this woke shit, waking people up, you can't wake anybody up because you can't change their unconscious programming. You can't change the way they're going to act. They have to be the ones to come to terms with that and say, yo, this is something I have to work on. It takes a lot of work to reprogram your unconscious mind. You feel me? It takes a whole detox, almost a 6-month detox, to be honest with you, where you can't watch TV. You can't use social media. You can't listen to music because your mind has to be heard again. You feel what I'm saying? But every day we listen to music. Every day we're watching TV. Every day we're reading some bullshit that ain't got shit to do with shit. every day we're adding more and more and more to our unconscious mind, and we're never detoxing it. You feel what I'm saying? So when people say certain shit to us and it conflicts, like, all right, I'm really gonna end with this time. The whole be his peace shit, that be his peace shit is unconscious programming. You tell a woman to you say be his peace to a woman right now, and watch how hell breaks loose. That unconscious program is fuck that. I'm not his peace. He needs to be his own peace. He needs to be this. He needs to be that. It's like, no, he needs to be his own peace. He needs to do this. But at the same time, the balance is so fucked up because the unconscious mind has been programmed from another perspective of, oh, as a woman, you take care of that man. You love that man. You do this and the third. The conscious mind has now gotten to the point where it's against the peace. You feel me? So they'll say shit like, I made this post on social media and I kind of got into it with women, but it was funny, but it taught me and it showed me more about the unconscious and conscious mind and shit. So literally in real time, I said, yo, sometimes I said, when a man's going through something and he shuts down and his thoughts, he wants to be alone with his thoughts, it was like something about be his peace or some shit like that. So women was like, nah, don't shut down. You tell me what's wrong and this, that, and the third and shit and that. I'm like, okay, cool. So, all right, I got y'all on that. But at the same time, it's like, yo, you're coming from a state of feeling. It's just talking about thinking, nah, you adding, they started getting emotional, start adding shit because it's like when a woman is on one aspect, she's been programmed all her life to find her validation and her worth through how she can heal her man. But then at the same time, the new programming is saying that you don't heal that motherfucker. You let him heal himself and you leave him alone. That battle happens. And it turns on at the same damn time. You feel what I'm saying? So when you utter the words, be his peace, right? Utter these words in a context. Say, be his peace when a man shuts down. You can literally see how this is just a social experiment, but you can literally see how the shit works out and it plays out. Because in one aspect, she's going to say, be your own peace. But at the same time, she's also going to say, you tell me what's wrong and when you need space. Because I need to know what's wrong with you because that affects me too. You see how the fucking mind works? That shit is beautiful. That's why I always say the mind is the most strongest and weakest thing on the face of this earth. And if you do not own yours and you do not control yours, it will be controlled for you. The whole concept. I might even go on Instagram and do this shit right now. Just post, be his peace, and watch how it works. Because there's two different programmers in their unconscious mind that are fighting each other. One programming being the conditional, you support that man, you love that man, you care for that man, you know what I'm saying? You be his peace. But there's the other aspect that has been broken and hurt so much that says, no, fuck that, don't be his peace anymore, leave it alone. And then the two merge. You feel what I'm saying? Be your own peace, but tell me when you need to be your peace because I need to know because that affects me too when you're being affected. You feel what I'm saying? That's some deep shit. You feel me? And that's some deep shit when it comes to the unconscious programming. So as our brothers, we need to learn how to rewire our unconscious mind because we're coming into a world now. Our unconscious mind has never valued women. Our unconscious mind has never seen the value of a woman outside of anything, which fucks up our mentality. And our unconscious mind has never been programmed for masculinity. You feel me? I'm not saying I'm unprogramming and I'm not saying I'm rewriting the code or the matrix or no shit like that. But the way So Frail is playing out, you gotta, if you've read it, you kind of see the transformation and you kind of see what's really transpiring. So that way you can understand masculinity and you can start to rewrite the code on your unconscious mind. You dig what I'm saying? Because there's certain things that we naturally got to change. There's things that we got to naturally change. And the first point in liberating ourselves is to liberate our unconscious mind. We know now, the baton has been passed. The ancestors, the guys, the people that preceded us, they have said, liberate your mind, you liberate your people. Okay, cool. Now we got to go to what part of the mind we have to liberate. It's not just learning. You have to liberate your unconscious mind, which is the programming that causes you to act autonomously. You don't even have to think about the action. You feel what I mean? You don't even have to think about the action. It's something as simple as going back to listening to music like Earth, Wind, and Fire, listening to oldies that give you that feel of uplifting and feeling good. Because this current shit that we're listening to is purposely designed to destroy us because it's designed to hit our unconscious mind and make us react, to make us react. And this is why we can't get out of the state of mind that way. So with that being said, I'm going to end it here, but to heal your unconscious mind, detox from social media. And if you're going to stay on social media, only follow pages that only follow things that uplift you. They give you now. Be tricky. Be careful with that, because you also don't want to get hooked to that and reprogrammed only to that, because it's all a matrix. At the end of the day, it's all a matrix that you're gonna get stuck in. But detox. Change what you're reading, change what you're consuming on a regular basis, change the things you read, change the things you see. You feel me? If you're watching certain shit every single day consistently, that's what's programming your mind. So when shit happens to where your people need to be affected, you can't even see that, okay, they deserve this. Like, pray for Paris. You feel me? When Paris and shit got, like, motherfuckers would really change their fucking Abbey to red, white, and blue. Not realizing that it's not the place it's the people that they're teaching you to go for. Because the same shit can happen in Nigeria, the same shit can happen in Brazil, motherfuckers. And our people don't even give a fuck about it, because our programming is to think like the Caucasoid and to think as the Caucasoid. You feel me? And to respond that way. That's our programming. You feel me? Unconsciously. So that's why it's like a knee-jerk reaction. When they tell you to do something, you do it. Okay. Change your profile picture in support of this. Okay. But you got a homie that's an entrepreneur that's like, yo, support this. Get your momentum up first. You dig? You see how unconscious mind works. But I'll leave it at that. With that being said, you can follow me on all my social media outlets. Not all my social media, on my Instagram, if that's really all I fuck with. _just_scene_. Follow the merchandise page at Just Scenes Merch. Follow the podcast at Just Scenes Podcast. Follow the Hitting It Raw program if you're trying to transition to the plant-based lifestyle. And be sure to get the book, Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. Also, be sure to get So Frail, A Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity. Because as I said, we're comfortable now. I fucks with y'all. Y'all fucks with me. We already X amount of episodes in. So we fucks with each other. So it's going to get deeper. And the layers are going to get peeled back a lot farther. You feel what I'm saying? But if you got to know which way we're going, it's best to have the book ahead of time so you already know what's up. And lastly, as I said, I accept support for the podcast. Donations, tips, all of that can be found in the description of your podcast if that's what you choose to do. I'm not opposed to it. I'm also not forcing you, pulling your leg. But with that being said, this one was a very long one, and I did not want it to go this long. But I appreciate all your time, all your energy, all of your suggestions and everything. And going forward, we're going to take it to a different level shortly. So with that being said, enjoy your day, enjoy your time, go kiss your babies, go instill something positive in your life, and live, love, laugh. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.